Hello everyone and welcome back to Super English Talks. My name is Sarah and I'm really excited to have you here today because we're starting a very special deep listening practice podcast that's going to take us on a journey into one of the most important topics of our modern world, and that is artificial intelligence, also known as AI, and we're going to talk about how it affects our daily lives in big and small ways. And the best part is that while we talk about this fascinating subject, you will also be improving your English listening skills, practicing vocabulary, and training your ear to understand spoken English in a natural flow. So whether you are at the B1 level, meaning you can already understand the main points of clear standard speech on familiar matters, or you're working toward more advanced listening skills for exams like IELTS, TOEFL, or CEFR, this podcast is going to help you both learn about the world and grow your English ability. Now, let's start by thinking about the simple question: what is artificial intelligence? The term sounds very technical, maybe even a little intimidating, but in everyday words, it just means machines or computer systems that can perform tasks that usually require human intelligence. Things like recognizing speech, understanding language, making decisions, or learning from data. And if that still feels a bit abstract, don't worry, because throughout this podcast, I'll give you plenty of examples that show how AI is not just something for scientists and laboratories, but actually something that is already around you in many different parts of your daily life. So let's imagine your morning routine. You wake up and maybe the first thing you do is check your phone. And when you open your phone, there's a good chance that AI is already playing a role. Maybe the phone has face recognition to unlock. That's an example of AI. The system has learned to recognize your face and decide if it matches the stored information. Or maybe you ask your digital assistant like Siri, Alexa, or Google Assistant about the weather, and it answers you with a clear voice. That is another example of AI in action. The system is recognizing your voice, understanding your question, and finding the information you need. Think about how natural this feels. Yet a few years ago, talking to a machine and having it answer like a person seemed like something from a science fiction movie. But today, it's normal. And this shows how quickly AI has entered everyday life. Another simple example is when you scroll through social media, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, or Facebook, the content that shows up on your feed is not random. It is carefully selected by AI algorithms that learn from your past behavior. What videos you like, what photos you watch, how long you stay on a post, and then it predicts what you might enjoy next. And this is why sometimes you can spend hours watching content because the AI keeps recommending things that match your interests. And while this can be fun, it's also important to notice how powerful AI is in shaping what information and entertainment you see every day. Now, because this is an English listening practice podcast, I want you to pay attention not only to the content, but also to the rhythm of my speaking, the way sentences connect, and the vocabulary. And I'll also repeat some important phrases in different ways so you can really absorb them. For example, when I said AI systems learn from data, another way to say that is artificial intelligence uses information and experience to improve its performance. And another simple version could be AI gets better by looking at examples. These variations help you understand the meaning fully and also give you more language flexibility. So, let's go back to your daily life and think beyond the phone. Suppose you're driving a car or taking a ride in a taxi. Modern vehicles often include AI features too. For example, navigation apps like Google Maps or Waze use AI to calculate the fastest route by looking at traffic data in real time. They predict where traffic jams are and then guide you to another road. Sometimes they even suggest leaving at a different time to avoid heavy traffic. Some advanced cars also use AI for driver assistance, like automatically stopping if there's an obstacle, keeping the car in the lane, or adjusting speed to keep a safe distance from the car in front. This means that even if you don't think you are using AI, you are still benefiting from it in small and visible ways. And how about when you shop online? Websites like Amazon or eBay show you recommendations that say you might also like this, or customers who bought this also bought that. These are AI systems again. They're not guessing randomly. They are analyzing the patterns of many customers and predicting what you might want. And sometimes they are so accurate that you feel surprised, almost as if the website can read your mind. But of course, it's not magic. It's machine learning, which is a type of AI that studies lots of data to make intelligent suggestions. One thing I want you to notice here is that AI is not only about high-level robots or futuristic machines. It's about smart software working quietly behind the scenes, shaping experiences in health, work, entertainment, education, and even simple daily routines. Let's think about music and movies, for instance. When you open Netflix or Spotify, the recommended shows, songs, or playlists you see are all powered by AI. These systems look at your past viewing or listening history, compare it with millions of other users, and then suggest something similar. And this creates a personal experience where each person has a different set of options, even if they are using the same platform. Now, let's take a short pause and reflect on language again, because while I explain these ideas, I also want you to notice key vocabulary. Words like algorithm, recommendation, recognition, prediction, and machine learning. These are technical terms, but don't worry if they feel new. Just listen carefully, and as you hear them repeated in different contexts, they will become easier. For example, an algorithm is simply a set of rules or steps that a computer follows to solve a problem. So when I say, AI algorithm recommends a video, it means a program is following steps to decide which video you see. So far we have looked at AI in phones, cars, shopping, and media, but I also want to highlight how AI is connected to communication, because right now you are listening to me in English, and maybe English is not your first language, so AI might already be helping you learn. For example, translation tools like Google Translate or real-time transcription services are all using AI. When you type a sentence in your own language and get an English version, the system is using deep learning models that have studied millions of sentences to understand the meaning and create a natural translation. It's not perfect, but it's much better than older systems, and it keeps improving. In fact, even the subtitles you see on YouTube videos are often generated by AI. When you click on auto captions, the system listens to the speech, converts it to text, and displays it in real time. This technology helps millions of people around the world access content in languages they are learning or when they have hearing difficulties. So here again, AI is not something far away. It's already part of your learning process. And here is something interesting to think about. AI is invisible most of the time because it is working quietly inside apps, devices, and services, but once you notice it, you start to see it everywhere. Imagine you are writing an email and your app suggests the next word, or you are texting and predictive text finishes your sentence. That's AI. Imagine you are looking at your photo gallery and the phone automatically recognizes faces and groups them by person. That's AI too. These small details make daily tasks faster and easier, but they also raise questions about how much technology knows about us. As we continue this podcast, I want you to keep in mind both sides, the convenience AI brings and the concerns it raises, because both are important to understand. But for now, in this first part, Our main focus is to open our eyes to the many everyday ways AI is already present, often without us noticing. Now, let me slow down for a moment because I know some of you are using this podcast not just to learn about AI, but also to improve English comprehension. One strategy you can use is called shadowing, and it means repeating what you hear in real time, almost like an echo. So if I say, AI helps us in daily life, you repeat softly after me, AI helps us in daily life. This technique improves pronunciation, rhythm, and memory, and it also makes you more confident in speaking. Try it with some of the examples I mentioned earlier, like AI recommends videos or AI understands speech. These are simple sentences that you can practice. Another tip is to focus on intonation, the rise and fall of the voice, because English is not only about words, it's also about music, the way the voice moves. When I ask a question, my voice goes up. When I finish a statement, my voice goes down. And listening carefully to these patterns will make your comprehension smoother. So, as we close this first part of our podcast, let's quickly review what we covered. We talked about what artificial intelligence means in simple words. We looked at examples in daily routines such as phones, digital assistants, navigation, online shopping, social media, and entertainment. We explored how AI helps in communication and learning through translation and subtitles, and we reflected on how invisible AI often is, quietly working in the background. At the same time, I gave you strategies for listening practice, like paying attention to vocabulary, shadowing sentences, and noticing intonation. We're going to focus on something very close to you as an English learner, and that is communication, because communication is one of the most essential human needs. It is the way we connect, share ideas, express emotions, and build relationships, and artificial intelligence is quietly but powerfully changing how we communicate every single day. Now, when I say communication, I don't just mean speaking with your friends face to face. I also mean texting, emailing, translating, writing, and learning languages, because all of these are forms of human connection, and AI is influencing each of them in different ways. So let's explore this step by step in a natural storytelling way. Imagine you want to talk with someone who doesn't speak your language. Maybe you're traveling in another country, or maybe you meet someone online from a different culture, and you need to find a way to understand each other. In the past, this situation could be very difficult. Maybe you carried a small dictionary, or you tried to use simple gestures, pointing to objects and smiling to get the message across. But today, you can take out your phone, open a translation app like Google Translate or Microsoft Translator, and instantly type or even speak a sentence in your own language, and the app will give you the translation in the other person's language, sometimes even reading it aloud. That's AI at work, and it has made communication across languages easier and faster than ever before. Now, I know some of you might already use these tools, and you probably know they are not always perfect. Sometimes the translation is a little strange or not natural. Sometimes it doesn't catch the exact meaning. And this happens because language is very complex, full of cultural context, idioms, and emotions. But here is the important part. AI translation has improved dramatically in just a few years because the systems are now based on deep learning and neural networks, which basically means the computer tries to understand language more like a brain, looking at patterns and context rather than just word-for-word translation. For example, if you write, "It's raining cats and dogs," the AI system should not show an image of animals falling from the sky. It should understand that this is an English idiom meaning, "It's raining heavily." And while older systems might have made mistakes with such idioms, Modern AI is much better at capturing the meaning because it has learned from millions of real examples. This improvement is really important for you as a learner because it means you can use AI translation not just for survival communication when traveling, but also as a study tool. For instance, if you're reading a difficult English article, you can highlight a sentence and see a translation in your language, then compare it with the original, and this helps you notice how ideas are expressed in English compared to your native language. Some students even use AI-powered language learning apps that listen to their pronunciation and give feedback, pointing out if a sound is too strong or too weak. This is something teachers could not always do individually for every student, but AI can provide personal feedback anytime. But let's not stop at translation, because AI also supports communication in many everyday digital tools. Have you ever noticed that when you type an email in Gmail, the system sometimes suggests the next few words, like, "Thank you for your message," or "I hope you're doing well"? That is AI predicting what you want to say based on common patterns. Similarly, when you text a friend on WhatsApp, your phone may suggest quick replies like "sure," "okay," or "see you soon." These small suggestions save time, but they also change the style of our communication because many people end up using the same AI-suggested phrases, making communication faster, but sometimes less personal. Now, I want to pause here and make a connection to English learning again. If you rely too much on AI to complete your sentences, you might lose an opportunity to practice writing creatively. So it's useful, but you should balance it with your own effort. On the other hand, you can also use these suggestions as a way to learn natural phrases, because AI often shows very common English expressions, and by observing them, you can add them to your own vocabulary. So next time you see your phone suggesting a phrase, don't just click it. Read it carefully and ask yourself, is this a phrase I can use in other situations? In this way, AI becomes not just a tool for convenience, but also a teacher in disguise. Another fascinating part of AI in communication is speech recognition. Think about dictation tools that convert your spoken words into text. Maybe you've used this feature when you're driving and you can't type, or when you want to write something quickly by speaking. This technology listens to your voice, identifies the words, and turns them into written sentences, and this is all thanks to AI models trained on thousands of hours of speech. The accuracy is so high today that some people use it to write entire documents or emails. For language learners, this can also be a powerful practice tool because you can speak in English and see if the system understands you correctly. If the AI mishears your words, it's a sign that your pronunciation may need adjustment. In this way, AI is not only a communication tool, but also a mirror that shows you how clear your speech is. Let's also talk about video communication. Many of us use Zoom, Microsoft Teams, or Google Meet for online classes, meetings, or family calls, and AI is deeply integrated into these platforms. For example, auto-generated subtitles and video calls are powered by AI speech recognition, and background noise cancellation is also done by AI, which listens to your audio and tries to remove unwanted sounds like typing, barking dogs, or street noise, so your voice comes through clearly. These features make online communication smoother, and they have become essential, especially since remote work and online learning have become so common. And then we have chatbots. I'm sure you visited a website and seen a small window pop up that says, "Hello, how can I help you?" And when you type a question, the chatbot answers instantly. These are AI systems designed to simulate conversation, and they are becoming very advanced, sometimes even hard to distinguish from real humans in short interactions. While these chatbots are mostly used for customer service, they also represent a new way of communicating with technology. In fact, some learners even practice English by chatting with bots because they provide unlimited conversation practice, and while the conversation might not be as rich as with a human, it is still useful for building confidence and fluency. At this point, I want you to notice how artificial intelligence in communication is like an invisible assistant always nearby, ready to translate, suggest, correct, or clarify. And this raises an interesting question. Does AI make us better communicators, or does it make us more dependent? On one hand, AI helps break language barriers, speeds up writing, and improves clarity, which is positive. On the other hand, if we rely too much on AI to write our messages, translate our thoughts, or speak for us, we might lose the habit of practicing real skills. It's a little like using a calculator for every math problem. The calculator is correct, but if you never practice doing the math yourself, your skills might become weaker. So what should you, as an English learner, do? My advice is to use AI as a supportive friend, not as a replacement. For example, if you write a short paragraph in English and then check it with an AI grammar tool, that's great because you learn from your mistakes. But if you always let AI write the whole text for you, then you're not really learning. Balance is the key. Let's also reflect on how AI communication tools are changing global culture. Before AI translation, people were often limited to communicating within their own language groups, but now, international friendships, business relationships, and collaborations are easier. You can have a video call with someone from another continent, each person speaking in their own language, and AI subtitles translating in real time, and this means language is no longer as big a barrier as before. However, it also means that English, which has been the global language of communication, now shares the stage with AI tools that make all languages more accessible. For English learners, this is both a challenge and an opportunity. You may not need English as desperately to communicate across borders, but learning English still gives you deeper access to culture, nuance, and direct connection without relying fully on machines. Another thing to consider is emotion in communication. AI is very good at processing words, but it's still learning how to understand feelings. For example, when you send a message that says, "I'm fine," a human friend can often guess from your tone or context if you're actually fine or if you're upset. AI systems sometimes miss this emotional layer. Some advanced systems are trying to analyze voice tone, facial expressions, or word choice to detect emotions, but this area is still developing. This shows us that communication is more than just words. It's also about empathy and understanding, something that humans still do best. So, as we finish this second part of our journey, let's review. We explored AI in translation apps, predictive text, email suggestions, speech recognition, video call tools, and chatbots. We reflected on how these tools make communication easier, but also raise questions about dependency. We discussed how AI helps language learners with pronunciation feedback, translation, and practice, but also why it's important to keep practicing without relying too much on machines. And finally, we looked at the cultural and emotional side of AI communication, noticing both its power and its limitations. We talked about how AI appears in your daily life, from phones to shopping and entertainment. In the second part, We looked closely at communication, translation, and language learning, and we discovered how AI is helping us connect with people across the world. Now, in this third part, I want to guide you into an area that is both exciting and sometimes a little worrying, and that is the world of work. How is AI changing jobs? How is it making people more productive? And what could it mean for the future of employment? These are important questions because work is not just about money. It is also about identity, purpose, and daily routine. And when technology changes work, it changes society as a whole. So, let's start with a simple example. Imagine you work in an office, and every day you have to answer a lot of emails. Some of the emails are easy, like someone asking for your phone number or requesting a copy of a document, but some are long and complicated, requiring careful responses. In the past, you would spend hours writing, rereading, and correcting these emails. But now, many people use AI writing assistants like Grammarly or built-in tools in Gmail that check grammar, suggest sentences, or even write full drafts. This means you can answer faster and with fewer mistakes. For non-native English speakers, this is especially useful because the AI helps you sound more professional and natural in your writing. So already, we see how AI is saving time and improving communication in the workplace. Now, let's move from emails to bigger tasks. Think about research. Suppose you are a student or an employee who needs to collect information quickly. Instead of searching through books for hours, you can use AI-powered search engines that not only give you links but also summarize the main points. Some tools can even create a full outline of a report for you. This is very powerful because it allows people to focus more on creative thinking and decision-making rather than spending all their time collecting data. But here comes a question. If AI can collect and summarize information so well, will people stop learning how to research? That is why balance is important. AI can give you a quick overview, but deep understanding still requires your own effort, analysis, and critical thinking. Let's also talk about how AI is changing specific professions. In medicine, for example, doctors are now using AI to look at X-rays and scans to detect problems like cancer or broken bones. The AI can sometimes find details that the human eye might miss because it has been trained on thousands of images. This does not mean doctors are replaced, but it means they have an assistant that helps them make more accurate diagnoses. In law, lawyers are using AI to read huge amounts of legal documents and identify key points much faster than a human could. In finance, AI is used to detect fraud by noticing unusual patterns in transactions. In agriculture, farmers use AI to predict weather, check soil quality, and even guide robots that harvest crops. So, across many industries, AI is not only present but becoming an essential tool. But let's not forget that with every change, there are challenges. Many people worry that AI will take away jobs. For example, if a company can use a chatbot to answer customer questions, will they still need human customer service agents? If AI can write a report, will they still hire junior employees to do that work? These are real concerns, and we're already seeing some jobs change or disappear. But at the same time, new jobs are also appearing. For example, someone has to train the AI, maintain it, and make sure it is fair and accurate. These new roles did not exist 20 years ago, but now they are very important. Think about the history of technology. When cars were invented, Many people who worked with horses lost their jobs, but new jobs appeared in factories, mechanics, and transportation. When computers became common, many typing and filing jobs disappeared, but new roles in programming, design, and IT support appeared. The same pattern is happening with AI. Some routine jobs may reduce, but new opportunities in AI development, data analysis, ethics, and creative industries are growing. So the real question is not, will AI take all jobs? But how can we prepare for the new types of work that AI is creating? Now, let's connect this back to you as an English learner. One of the most important skills in the future job market will be communication, creativity, and problem solving. AI is very good at following instructions, analyzing data, and predicting outcomes, but it is not as strong at creativity, imagination, or emotional intelligence. For example, AI can write a poem, but often it feels mechanical, missing the deep emotions of a human poet. AI can answer questions in a meeting, but it does not have the personal touch of a leader motivating a team. This means that your ability to think creatively, work with others, and express yourself clearly in English will still be very valuable. In fact, as AI takes over routine tasks, human workers will spend more time on tasks that require these human qualities. Now, let's look at productivity tools. Many offices today use AI project management systems that help teams organize tasks, set deadlines, and even predict which projects might be late. These tools analyze the progress of different tasks and alert managers when something needs attention. This saves time and reduces mistakes. Some companies also use AI scheduling assistants that automatically find the best time for meetings, considering everyone's calendars and time zones. Imagine how much time this saves compared to sending 10 emails back and forth trying to agree on a time. And here is another interesting example: AI and creativity at work. Designers use AI tools that can generate images, logos, or layouts. Musicians use AI programs that can create background music. Writers use AI to brainstorm ideas for stories. Instead of replacing creativity, these tools act like partners, giving suggestions and inspiration. For example, a graphic designer might ask AI to show 10 possible logo ideas and then choose one to improve by hand. This combination of AI speed and human creativity produces excellent results. Of course, we also need to think about fairness in the workplace. Sometimes AI systems make decisions about hiring, promotions, or evaluations. For example, some companies use AI to scan job applications and select candidates for interviews. While this saves time, it also raises concerns about bias. If the AI has learned from past data that contains unfair patterns, it might repeat those patterns, rejecting good candidates unfairly. This is why humans must always supervise AI decisions, making sure they are fair and just. As you can see, the workplace of today and tomorrow will be full of AI systems, but they will not completely replace humans. Instead, humans and AI will work together, each bringing different strengths. Humans bring creativity, empathy, and judgment. AI brings speed, memory, and calculation. Together, they create a new kind of productivity that neither could achieve alone. Now, let's slow down for a moment and think about some useful vocabulary you heard in this section. Productivity, which means the amount of work you can do in a certain time. Diagnosis, which is when a doctor identifies a medical condition. Fraud, which means dishonest or illegal activity, usually about money. Bias, which means unfair preference or prejudice, and creativity, which is the ability to make new and original ideas. These words are useful not only for understanding AI, but also for general English use in work and study. I also want to remind you of one listening practice technique you can use. When you hear a new word, try to imagine it in a sentence of your own. For example, if you hear bias, you can make a sentence like, "The teacher showed bias by giving better marks to her favorite students." This way, you connect the new word to your own life, making it easier to remember. So let's summarize what we have covered in this third part. We talked about how AI is changing daily work tasks like emails, research, and scheduling. We saw examples from different professions like medicine, law, finance, and agriculture. We discussed the fear of job loss, but also the creation of new roles. We looked at productivity tools and creative support from AI. And we reflected on the importance of human skills like creativity, empathy, and communication. As we move forward, I want you to think about your own future career. How might AI influence it? What skills do you want to develop to stay valuable in a world where machines are becoming more intelligent? Remember, learning English is already a powerful step because it connects you to global knowledge and opportunities. Combine that with creativity and critical thinking, and you'll be ready for whatever the future brings. We've already looked at how AI touches your daily life in small but important ways. We've discussed how it changes communication and language learning, and we just explored its role in work and productivity. Now, in this fourth part, we're going to focus on 3 areas that are incredibly important for every person: healthcare, transportation, and safety. These areas show how AI isn't just about convenience or efficiency, it's also about saving lives, protecting people, and shaping the way we live in a much deeper sense. So, let's begin with healthcare, because health is one of the most essential things for any human being. No matter who you are or where you live, staying healthy and getting the right treatment when you are sick is critical. Artificial intelligence is becoming more and more important in this field. For example, AI can help doctors diagnose diseases by looking at medical images like X-rays, CT scans, or MRI scans. The computer can compare the image with millions of others in its memory and detect tiny details that a human eye might miss. Imagine a small tumor just beginning to grow that is almost invisible. An AI system trained on thousands of cancer images can recognize it and alert the doctor much earlier than before. This kind of early detection can save lives because many diseases are easier to treat when discovered at the beginning. AI is also used in predicting diseases before they even happen. For instance, by analyzing data like blood tests, lifestyle information, or genetic details, AI can identify if someone is at high risk of developing diabetes or heart disease in the future. This means doctors can give advice early, suggesting lifestyle changes, exercise, or medicine to prevent the illness from becoming serious. In this way, AI is not only about curing sickness but also about prevention, which is even more powerful. Another fascinating use of AI in healthcare is personalized medicine. Everyone's body is unique, and not every medicine works the same way for every person. Traditionally, doctors gave the same treatment to most patients with the same illness. But now, with AI, doctors can analyze a patient's genetic information and medical history to create a treatment plan designed just for them. For example, in cancer treatment, AI can help decide which drug will be most effective for a specific patient, reducing side effects and improving chances of recovery. And let's not forget about AI and hospitals themselves. Managing a hospital is very complex. There are thousands of patients, medicines, schedules, and records. AI can help organize this, making sure the right medicine is given at the right time, reminding doctors about patient allergies, or even predicting which hospital departments will be busiest on certain days. All of this makes the healthcare system more efficient and safer for patients. Of course, we should also talk about AI in everyday health. Many of you might already use a smartwatch or a fitness app on your phone. These devices count your steps, monitor your heart rate, and sometimes even measure your sleep quality. The AI inside them looks at the data and gives you advice, like encouraging you to walk more if you've been sitting too long. Some watches can even detect irregular heartbeats and send an alert to your doctor. Imagine how many lives could be saved if people are warned early about a serious condition before it becomes dangerous. Now, as impressive as all this sounds, there are challenges too. For example, what happens to all the sensitive health data that AI collects? Who has access to it? Privacy is very important in healthcare because nobody wants their personal medical history shared without permission. So while AI brings amazing benefits, we also need strong protections to make sure this information is safe and used responsibly. All right, let's move to the second area, transportation. Getting from one place to another is something we all do, whether it's walking, riding a bus, driving a car, or flying on a plane. AI is transforming transportation in many ways. The most famous example is self-driving cars. These are vehicles that use cameras, sensors, and AI systems to drive without a human holding the wheel. Companies like Tesla, Waymo, and many others are working on this technology, and while it is still being tested, it has already shown great potential. Imagine being able to sit in your car, relax, and let the AI drive you safely to your destination. How does this work? The car's AI constantly processes information from sensors: how far the next car is, where the lane lines are, if a pedestrian is crossing the road, or if a traffic light is turning red. Based on this information, the car makes decisions in real time: when to accelerate, when to brake, when to turn. This requires incredible speed and accuracy because even a small mistake can be dangerous. That's why companies are testing these systems very carefully before making them common. Self-driving cars could change society in many ways. For elderly people or people with disabilities who cannot drive, AI cars could give them independence. For cities, it could reduce accidents caused by human error, which is one of the biggest causes of road deaths. It could also reduce traffic jams because AI cars can communicate with each other to optimize movement, keeping traffic flowing smoothly. But again, there are challenges. What happens if the AI faces a difficult ethical decision? For example, if the car has to choose between hitting one person or another, how should it decide? These are not just technical questions, they are also moral ones, and society needs to discuss them before AI cars become common. Apart from self-driving cars, AI is also improving public transport. Some cities already use AI to control traffic lights, making them smarter by analyzing traffic flow and reducing waiting times. Airlines use AI to predict delays and suggest better routes for flights. Delivery companies use AI to plan the most efficient routes for trucks, saving fuel and reducing pollution. Even small details, like apps that tell you when the next bus will arrive, are powered by AI analyzing data from many sources. Now, let's connect transportation to everyday life again. Think about how much time you spend commuting or waiting for buses, trains, or in traffic. AI has the potential to give you some of that time back by making transportation smoother and safer. That's a big quality of life improvement, and it shows that AI is not only about technology, but about human well-being. Finally, let's explore safety, the third big area in this part. Safety is about protecting people from harm, and AI is playing a growing role here too. For example, in cities, AI is used in security cameras to detect unusual behavior, like someone leaving a bag unattended in a crowded place, or to recognize faces of wanted criminals. This can help police respond faster to potential threats. In cybersecurity, which is protecting computers and information from hackers, AI is essential. Every day, millions of cyber attacks happen around the world, and it's impossible for humans alone to detect all of them. AI systems can analyze patterns of behavior online and quickly recognize suspicious activity, like someone trying to break into an account. This helps keep our personal data, bank accounts, and even government systems safe. AI is also used in disaster response. For example, when there is an earthquake, satellite images can be analyzed by AI to quickly identify which areas are most damaged and where help is needed first. During wildfires, AI can predict how the fire will spread, helping firefighters plan their response. These are life-saving applications that show how technology can serve humanity in times of crisis. And let's not forget personal safety. Many smartphones today have AI systems that detect if you have been in a car accident. If the phone senses a sudden stop and no movement, it asks if you're okay, and if you don't respond, it can automatically call emergency services. This is another small but powerful way AI can protect lives in everyday situations. Of course, with safety applications, there are also concerns. For example, face recognition systems can be very powerful, but they also raise questions about privacy and surveillance. Nobody wants to live in a society where every move is watched without consent. So once again, we see that AI brings benefits and challenges, and humans need to decide how to use it fairly. Now, let's take a small break from the heavy topics and think about language learning again. In this part, you've heard words like diagnosis, prevention, sensor, surveillance, and cybersecurity. Try to repeat them after me, slowly and clearly. Diagnosis, prevention, sensor, surveillance, cybersecurity. Good. These words might sound technical, but they are very useful for discussing modern topics, and if you can use them in a sentence, you'll sound more advanced in English. For example, the doctor gave a quick diagnosis, or prevention is better than cure, or the car uses sensors to park automatically, or there are many surveillance cameras in the city, or cybersecurity protects us from hackers. Making your own sentences is the best way to practice. So, let's review this fourth part. We explored AI in healthcare, from early disease detection to personalized medicine and fitness apps. We looked at AI in transportation, from self-driving cars to smart public transport and delivery systems. And we talked about AI in safety, from security cameras to cybersecurity and disaster response. In all these areas, AI shows its potential to protect lives and make society safer, but we also saw that privacy and ethical questions are important. We talked about healthcare, transportation, and safety, which are all serious areas where AI protects lives and makes society work more smoothly. But today, in this fifth part, I want to explore something that is a little lighter, a little closer to everyday enjoyment, and definitely very familiar to all of you: entertainment, creativity, and social media. Because let's be honest, most of us spend a good portion of our day listening to music, watching videos, reading stories, or scrolling through feeds online. And behind almost every one of those experiences, there is some form of artificial intelligence guiding, shaping, or recommending what we see, hear, and enjoy. Let's begin with music, because music is one of the most universal human experiences. Think about the last time you listened to a playlist on Spotify, Apple Music, or YouTube. Did you notice how the app seemed to know exactly the kind of songs you might like? That's not magic. That's AI at work. The system looks at your listening history, compares it with millions of other users' habits, and then suggests songs that match your taste. This is called recommendation technology, and it's one of the most visible ways AI impacts our daily lives. For example, if you listened to a lot of calm piano music last week, the AI might suggest new relaxing instrumental tracks. If you started listening to upbeat dance songs, it will recommend more energetic music. This creates a personal DJ that follows your mood and interests. But AI doesn't stop at recommendations. There are also AI systems that can actually compose music. Yes, computers can now create songs, melodies, and even lyrics. Some people are amazed by this, while others feel a little uncomfortable. After all, isn't music supposed to be an expression of human emotion? Well, it still is, but AI-generated music can serve interesting purposes. For example, background music in a cafe, a video game, or a relaxation app might be created by AI. You may have already listened to AI-composed music without realizing it. And while human musicians will always bring soul and creativity, AI can help by offering new ideas or generating quick drafts that artists can build upon. Now, let's move to films and videos. When you open Netflix, YouTube, or any streaming service, have you noticed that the recommendations seem almost personalized? That's AI again, studying your viewing patterns. It looks at the shows you watch, the time you watch them, how long you watch, and even the kinds of actors or themes you prefer. Then it suggests new content that matches your taste. This is why two people with different viewing habits see completely different homepages when they log into Netflix. AI is also being used in film production itself. For example, AI can analyze scripts and predict which ones are more likely to succeed at the box office. It can help editors cut long videos into shorter, more engaging clips for social media. Special effects are increasingly supported by AI, from creating realistic backgrounds to de-aging actors on screen. Have you ever seen a scene where an older actor suddenly looks 20 years younger? That's AI technology helping the filmmakers achieve something that was once impossible. But perhaps the most exciting development is AI-generated video itself. Recently, AI tools have been created that can generate short video clips just from text descriptions. You type something like, "a golden sunset over the ocean with birds flying," and the AI creates a moving picture of exactly that. This opens up possibilities for artists, teachers, and content creators who might not have the budget for expensive cameras or animation studios. Of course, it's still early days, and these videos often look a little strange or unrealistic, but the speed of improvement is incredible. Now, let's talk about social media, because for many of us, this is where we interact with AI the most. Every time you scroll through Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, or Twitter, the order of the posts you see is not random. It's carefully chosen by AI algorithms. These systems decide which pictures, videos, or news stories appear at the top of your feed based on what they think will keep you interested. If you like travel photos, you'll see more travel photos. If you watch cooking videos, your feed will fill with recipes. On TikTok, the For You page is completely powered by AI recommendations, and that's why it can be so addictive. It keeps learning your preferences and adjusting in real time. This personalization is both powerful and a little dangerous. On one hand, it makes your feed more enjoyable because you see things that match your interests. On the other hand, it can also create something called a filter bubble. This means the AI shows you only the things you already like, and you stop seeing different perspectives. For example, if you always watch one type of news, the AI might hide other viewpoints, which can limit your understanding of the world. This is why it's important to sometimes search for content outside your recommendations, so you don't get stuck in just one bubble. AI also plays a role in making social media more creative. For instance, there are AI filters on Snapchat and Instagram that can change your face, add funny effects, or even translate your voice. Some AI tools let you write posts more easily, correct your grammar, or suggest hashtags. Artists are using AI to create digital paintings that they share online. Writers use AI to brainstorm story ideas. Even memes, those funny images with captions, can sometimes be generated with the help of AI tools. One very popular example is AI-generated art. Maybe you've seen images online that look like paintings made by famous artists, but they were actually created by an AI program. You just give the AI a description, like a cat dressed as a king in the style of Van Gogh, and the computer creates it. These images can be beautiful and strange, sometimes surprising even the person who typed the description. Some people worry this will replace human artists, but many artists are actually using AI as a tool to speed up their creative process or explore new styles. And let's not forget video creators. YouTube, for example, now has AI tools that help with editing, adding subtitles, or suggesting titles and thumbnails. If you've ever wondered why some videos go viral, it's often because the AI recommendation system decided to show that video to more people. This means creators are not only making content for humans, but also thinking about how AI will react to their videos. Of course, like everything we've discussed, there are both benefits and challenges. On the positive side, AI makes entertainment more personalized, helps artists experiment, and connects people with the kind of content they enjoy. On the negative side, it raises questions about originality if a song, picture, or story is created by AI. Who owns it? Is it the computer, the programmer, or the person who typed the description? There are also worries about deepfakes, AI-generated videos that make it look like someone said or did something they never actually did. These can be very realistic and could be used to spread false information. But let's bring it back to English learning for a moment, because this podcast is not just about AI. It's also about helping you practice listening at B1 level and beyond. In this part, you've heard words like recommendation, filter bubble, creativity, originality, and deepfake. Let's say them together. Recommendation, filter bubble, creativity, originality, deepfake.
Great.
Now try to use them in sentences. For example, the app gave me a good recommendation, or social media sometimes creates a filter bubble, or creativity is important in art, or the originality of the idea made it special, or a deep fake video can be dangerous. Practicing these words in context will help you remember them and use them naturally in conversations. So, let's review part 5. We talked about how AI shapes the music we listen to, the films and videos we watch, and the content we see on social media. We explored how it helps with creativity, from composing music to generating art and even videos. And we also discussed some challenges, like filter bubbles, originality, and deepfakes. All of these examples show that AI is not just a tool for work or safety, it's also a companion in our everyday enjoyment, influencing how we relax, how we express ourselves, and how we connect with others online. Now, as we prepare to move to the final part, I want to leave you with a small question to think about. When you enjoy a piece of art, music, or video, does it matter to you if it was created by a human or an AI? Some people say art must come from the heart. Others say creativity can exist even in machines. What do you think? Thank you for staying with me. And in the next part, part 6, we will talk about something very important: the future of AI, the ethical questions, and how all of this connects to you personally as a learner, a worker, and a human being. This is Sarah on Super English Talks, and I'll see you in the final part. We've explored so many areas of life: communication, work, healthcare, transport, safety, entertainment, and creativity, and I hope you can already see just how deeply AI is connected to almost everything we do. But before we finish, I want us to look forward, to think carefully about the future of AI, the ethical questions that surround it, and what it all means for us as people, as learners, and as a global community. This part will be a little more reflective, a little more philosophical, but also practical, because these are not just ideas for scientists or governments. They affect all of us, and the choices we make today will shape the world of tomorrow. Let's start with the idea of ethics. Ethics means the set of rules or principles that guide what is right or wrong, fair or unfair. AI, as powerful as it is, doesn't naturally know what is right or wrong. It only follows the instructions and data it is given. That means the responsibility is on humans to make sure AI is used in a way that benefits people and does not cause harm. One of the biggest ethical questions is about privacy. As we've seen, AI collects huge amounts of data: our conversations, our health information, our location, even our preferences and habits. This data is valuable, but who controls it? Who decides how it can be used? If companies use it to make our lives easier, that can be positive. But if it's used without permission, it can feel like a violation of personal freedom. Another big ethical concern is fairness. AI systems are trained on data, and if that data has bias, the AI can also show bias. For example, if an AI is used in job applications, but the training data mostly comes from one type of person, the AI might unfairly prefer those applicants. This has already happened in some cases, and it shows that AI is not automatically neutral. It reflects the strengths and weaknesses of the information it learns from. That's why many people are now talking about the need for ethical AI, meaning AI that is carefully tested, transparent, and designed to treat everyone fairly. A third ethical question is about responsibility. If an AI system makes a mistake, who is responsible? Let's imagine a self-driving car gets into an accident. Is it the fault of the car company, the programmer, the passenger, or the AI itself? These are very complicated issues that legal systems around the world are only beginning to address. Responsibility is also important when it comes to misinformation. With deepfakes and AI-generated content, false news can spread very quickly. If a video shows a famous person saying something they never actually said, who is to blame for the damage it causes? Again, society must decide how to handle these challenges. But alongside the risks, there is also great hope. Many experts believe AI will help humanity solve some of its biggest problems. For example, in climate change, AI can analyze patterns of weather and energy use to suggest better solutions for reducing pollution. In education, AI can make learning more accessible, giving children in remote villages the chance to study with digital tutors. In medicine, AI may discover new drugs faster, helping to cure diseases that are still deadly today. These are exciting possibilities, and they show that AI, like any powerful tool, can be used for good or bad, depending on our choices. Now, let's think about the future of work. People often ask, will AI take our jobs? It's true that some jobs may disappear as machines become more capable. For example, repetitive tasks in factories or simple office work may be replaced by AI systems. But history shows us that whenever technology changes, new jobs also appear. When cars were invented, many people lost jobs as horse drivers, but millions of new jobs were created in car factories, road construction, and tourism. The same will happen with AI. Old jobs may fade, but new ones will come. The important thing is to keep learning, keep adapting, and develop skills that AI cannot easily replace, like creativity, critical thinking, emotional intelligence, and communication. As English learners, you have a special advantage here. Language is one of the most human skills, and being able to communicate across cultures will always be valuable. Even if AI can translate, humans bring empathy, culture, and personality to conversations. So, improving your English is not just about passing an exam. It's about preparing for a future where global communication is more important than ever. Let's also talk about the relationship between humans and AI. Some people imagine a future where AI becomes so powerful that it controls humans. Others dream of AI working as a partner, helping humans achieve things we could never do alone. Personally, I believe AI will remain a tool, a very advanced, sometimes surprising tool, but still a creation of human intelligence. The real question is how we choose to use it. Will we use it to build bridges, solve problems, and connect people? Or will we use it for profit, control, and division? Each of us has a role in shaping that answer, even if it's just by the choices we make every day, what apps we use, what information we share, and how we think about the technology around us. Now let's pause and reflect on some vocabulary from this part. You've heard words like ethics, fairness, bias, responsibility, and misinformation. Let's practice together. Ethics, fairness, bias, responsibility, misinformation. Very good. Try to put these into sentences. For example, ethics are important in science, or we must fight for fairness, or the AI showed bias in the results, or who takes responsibility for the mistake, or misinformation spreads quickly online. Practicing like this helps you connect vocabulary to real ideas, making both your language and your thinking stronger. As we come closer to the end of this episode, let's do a quick review of everything we covered in all 6 parts. In Part 1, we introduced AI and saw how it touches everyday life. In Part 2, we looked at communication and language learning. In Part 3, we explored jobs and productivity. In Part 4, we focused on healthcare, transportation, and safety. In Part 5, we discussed entertainment, creativity, and social media. And now, in Part 6, we've reflected on ethics, fairness, responsibility, and the future of AI. That's a huge journey, and if you've followed all the way through, you've listened to about 12,000 words of English practice. That is a fantastic achievement, and you should feel very proud of yourself. But I don't want you to stop here. The purpose of this podcast is not just for you to listen, but also for you to think and practice. After this episode ends, I encourage you to take one of the ideas we discussed, maybe AI in healthcare or AI in music or the question of ethics, and try to explain it in your own words, either out loud to yourself or by writing a short paragraph in English. When you do that, you're not only practicing listening but also speaking and writing, which will help you become more fluent and confident. Before we close, let me share a small motivational thought. Technology is changing fast, and sometimes it can feel overwhelming. But remember, every great change in history has brought challenges and opportunities. What makes the difference is not the technology itself, but how people respond. If you are curious, open-minded, and willing to learn, then AI will not be a threat. It will be a partner that helps you grow. And as an English learner, you are already showing that you are ready to grow, ready to adapt, and ready to connect with the world. So my final message is this: don't be afraid of the future. Embrace it, prepare for it, and use it to build the life you want. Keep learning English, keep learning new skills, and keep asking questions. The world needs people who can think critically, communicate clearly, and act with kindness, and that, no matter how advanced AI becomes, will always be the true power of being human. Thank you so much for joining me in this long and exciting journey. I hope you've enjoyed not only practicing your English listening skills, but also expanding your understanding of how AI is shaping our everyday lives. This has been Sarah, your host on Super English Talks, and I'm so proud of the effort you've put into listening. Keep going, keep practicing, and I'll see you in the next episode. Take care, my friends, and bye for now.